are live, Commissioner.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners Budget Work Session. We're hoping this is our final budget deliberation session for a little while. And my name is Ty Menzer, Chair of the Board. To my left is Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards, and to my right is Commissioner Carolina Mejia. County Manager Ramiro Chavez and Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell are here. And we have public access through a live stream on the Thurston County YouTube channel. We're working from 12 to 3, and we're going to try to finish what needs to get done. And so I'm going to go right back to Robin Campbell to pick up where we left off this morning.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we left off on page 32 of your general fund policy request packet, line 190. I'm just going to pick up there, but just to do a little preview of what we need to do in the next 3 hours. We're going to work our way through the last few pages of the general fund policy packet, and then we're going to go back to all of the items that were on hold. I've calculated capacity left in the general fund to be roughly $500,000. And after that, then we can start talking about how to create additional capacity. But you've got about $500,000 left. On page 32, line 190, we pick up with a general fund item in non-departmental to increase the amount that the county would pay to animal services to increase the services to rural county residents. $245,000 a year.
I have a question before we go. You said we had about $500,000 left in general.
Yep.
Is that taking into consideration all the adjustments to different funds that we talked about this morning?
Yes, it is already factored.
That's all that's factored in.
Yep.
Now, and is that basing that on a starting point of $2.5 million that we started with?
You had roughly $2.5 million in capacity. What
Okay.
you have spent to date and oh, well, let me share. I have not logged into this session. I apologize. Let me do that very quickly so I can share my screen.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm wondering about, so if we started off with $2.5 million, the $2.5 million, did that include the $1.5 million of more sales tax than what we had originally anticipated was going to be?
All of the revenue is factored into the
So all that
forecast.
revenue,
I think we've gone above $2.5 million because we've
Yeah.
added chunks here and there.
Right.
You have funded way more than 2.5.
well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering about on that statement of there's $500,000 left.
We've done a lot more than I thought we could do
Yeah.
already, to be honest.
So,
But also what Robin stated, right now, based on the current situation, you have an additional 500,000. But also you need to revisit again how much more capacity you can have on the detention sales tax.
okay, that's, okay. You mean that's not figured in, the detention sales tax
Portion.
adjustment?
So the amount that is figured in for detention sales tax is, as we've gone, you've said yes to a number of items
Yes.
to be paid out of detention sales tax. We have captured that. What we have not done is say, okay, here's the financial plan for detention sales tax. Here's how much you've added to that, and there's X much more capacity.
Yes,
have not
okay,
done
so
that part
we
yet.
haven't looked at that fund
Correct.
because, and the reason I'm going through all this gyration
That's
is
good.
if we're gonna stick with the 500,000 shift,
Road levy shift?
yeah, replacement or however, if we were gonna stick with that, we're done. But if we've got this other amount that we could put against the detention sales tax, which Commissioner Menzer and I feel we're not gonna need to build on a jail, because all this other stuff's gonna work out. So we would have, that would be the additional capacity.
Yeah.
And we
Yes,
don't know what that is yet.
I have, although, already factored into this forecast, and you can see it right here, that we would reduce the road diversion by $500,000. You could choose to make that only $250 or
Whatever.
$20 or however
Okay,
much
well,
you
just
want
say
that
we
to
did
be.
250, then
So-
we'd have enough that we could do animal services and then we'd be done.
Yeah, that's a trade-off you can make. Let's pay for animal services and reduce the road levy shift by, back to the 250 that we originally.
But then it sounds like we might have just a little bit left that we could divert into detention sales tax that is currently being funded by general fund.
There's
true,
still
right?
some room there.
Yeah, and I've got a number of whole things.
Okay,
Right,
so,
there's a whole lot of things on hold that
Yeah.
you need to go back and
so it
review.
isn't like we've got much, is what I'm looking
But
at.
you
Well,
have fun, you have, to fund.
Oh, we've been doing a lot, but I
So
mean,
just
if
think-
we go back to the holds and do something on the holds, we don't have much.
Just think about this, Commissioner, when we presented this option for you as here, 2.5. Right now, you have funded 2.5, but you have funded more because you have made some
Some
revisions.
switches.
Yeah, we've gone way.
And a
more.
lot of it's
Our
one
plan.
time.
And what
Yeah,
Robin has
100%.
said is, out of this 2.5, right now you have an additional 300,000, 500,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before we
Just
even
out of that,
talk
without
about
having to go-
changing
Without getting on,
capacity.
so your capacity has grown to 3 million.
Right, so let's go through the rest of these items and then talk about how to create capacity. Although your suggestion to, decrease the road levy shift.
I'm just saying that that would be an easy thing
That
to talk
is-
about because the amounts are about the same.
Yeah, but there's an interesting factor with the road levy shift. We're pulling out an additional $500,000. We're stepping that up in a way that adding 250,000 a year doesn't slowly step up. So if you change the road levy shift from 500 to 250, you actually add about 500,000 in capacity.
I understand.
It's got
Okay.
a
Yeah, I understand.
multiplier.
Okay, I have
effect.
one question for Denise possibly while we're moving ahead, so she can look at it and see.
Okay,
How much money are we now dedicating to animal services? I see we're asking for 245, but how much do we have in there now, committed?
Patty,
680.
yeah, Patty might have that answer. She
Okay,
keeps
just-
track of the non-departmental.
Don't have it off the top of my head, but I can get it.
All right,
Yeah, I can give you rough.
Okay, that's all.
This might be a year old, but it was about 680,000. And then we needed to add about this much more to go to full service.
So we're getting
To bump
close,
it up to $1 million
we're getting close to $1 million.
if we were to go full service.
Okay, and that's gonna bring up some conversation, I guess, so.
Okay,
we can proceed.
yeah, well, we're there.
all right,
So,
go.
I'm just gonna say right off the top,
You're the rep now.
Yeah.
I was the rep, I supported this, I want to keep this on the list for the future, but I don't think we're gonna be able to do this myself. I mean, unless somebody wants to twist my arm really hard.
Even if the reduction of the road levy shift.
I got a whole list of holds that, to me, I think are higher priorities than
Okay.
this. From court stuff to sheriff stuff to park stuff. That I just don't think this is gonna win out over all my holds. That's just where I'm at. But I mean, every year I wanna keep talking about this and we're gonna get there. I just don't think it's 2021 for me.
I'm the rep on there, on JASCOM, and did a strategic plan this year. And it was updated, and this was one of the top priorities for JASCOM. The calls that they're getting, the calls that the sheriff's office is getting is absolutely insane right now. And what that's doing is, basically, I get the calls next because people are frustrated outside the county because we're not providing the level services. And some of the comments that I've heard from constituents over and over, they're frustrated that the county is not providing the same level of services that they are in the city. It causes a lot of confusion because, of course, of how we're currently drawn out where your neighbor can be in one of the jurisdictions that's paying while, the house next door is not. And so it's created a lot of frustration, a lot of pushback on it. And this is why, I rated this a high. I was like, this is definitely a priority. That's why the sheriff wrote a letter in support of this, because, it's taking up his time having to answer these calls. And
Unsatisfactory.
Citizens are unsatisfied, and, what's happening right now is they keep getting bounced back and forth. And to me, it's really about the level of service that we can provide out. I see someone popped up. Is that Patty?
Patty has the number.
Patty?
It is 683,000.
Boom. On the money.
Look at that.
Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome.
So for me, it comes down to trying to offer the same level of service above, to everyone in the county. I feel like we're already paying so much for it that taking that extra step, it's just natural. It just seems like the next step. And then one of the conversations me and the sheriff had that I thought, there's been a lot of complaints that, maybe we should look somewhere else. And one of the conversations me and the sheriff had that, we were both in agreement with is like, well, we can't say that because they haven't been offering full services. So we don't know, the capability. Once they're offering full services and people are still upset and coming back to us, then we can reassess where we go from there. But until we don't have the full services, we can't look somewhere else. And, other jurisdictions have already started to join us. The city of Yelm is one of them where they're using JASCOM services now. So I just think this seems like the natural next step in addressing a lot of citizens' concerns, addressing the dangerous dog designations that we're getting. They'll have another recourse rather than coming to the commissioners to address these matters. So I guess I'll just lay it out at that. It's gotten a lot of support from various constituents across the area. It's gotten support from the sheriff. I've been trying to get the data on the numbers, but it's kind of hard how JASCOM was running. They don't have quite the numbers on it, but they were estimating them to be at least half the calls that they're getting is from outside, their service areas where they can provide some of the services. So
Everything you said is 100% accurate.
Yep.
I agree with that. I just don't think there's-
Even if you think about the population with the new census, the population is pretty evenly split between those that live in a municipality and those that don't. So, using a argument that I don't always agree with as an argument, but it is an argument, and that's the Growth Management Act. The Growth Management Act basically encourages people to live in the urban core and not in rural America. And that's kind of what it's all about, even though I often object to that. And for those people that want those kind of services, would say, well, take care of it yourself or move into town. So that kind of goes back to a Wild West philosophy, I guess. So I'm not saying it's the solution to it.
Uh-oh.
All right, so in the interest of time, are you ready to take a thumbs up? or
Okay,
thumbs down on
here's
this?
what I'm gonna propose, because
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you're against it. And it depends on what we've got. It kind of depends on our ability, in my estimation. So you've got a list of hold items
Sounds like
there.
it's gonna be a Commissioner Edwards hold on.
Yeah, I almost think when we get down to it, we're gonna have about 7 or 8 hold items.
More than that.
More than that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I have none.
But this, because I respect Commissioner Mejia's position on this, but
She's right. I sat there for 2 years, and
Yeah.
I took all those calls, and
No,
everything she said is exactly accurate.
But I've had so many people tell me over the years, well, how come the county doesn't do this? Well, the county does things different than the cities do.
Right.
And I guess every municipality is now participating in JASCOM, except maybe Dakota or Rainier or something.
The smaller jurisdictions are not part.
What's that?
The smaller jurisdictions are
Yelm
not.
joined.
Yelm
Yelm joined, but Olympia's in, right?
Olympia,
Oh, yeah.
Tumwater,
Lacey and
Lacey,
Tumwater.
Yelm, and the county.
And so that means Rainier and Tenino are both out?
Yeah.
Yet?
No, they're not
And
out, they're
Dakota.
not in yet.
They're not in. Yeah, they're not in there.
All right, so the proposal is to put it on
I-
hold for now?
I think until we get a sense that, and if you come up and say, well, it's another 2 million to fill all those, then it's gonna make
I
me
don't
It
think
will
I'm
not
gonna
be
be
2
able to
million.
create 2 million in capacity.
What's that?
It will not be 2 million.
2 million.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
I
that
might
is
be
gonna
able
be a
to
bunch.
create
Let's keep going, that's a whole.
All right,
Oh,
so we are now on page 33, on line 191. This is a request from the clerk. And what she is asking is to close out the Family Court Services Fund. Because the Family Court Services Fund is not generating enough revenue to sustain the current level of staffing. So she wants to move the staff to the general fund. She would move what revenue they get to the general fund and eliminate,
Because it's a slow bleed.
it is
And by
a
closing out the
slow-
fund, we can close the slow bleed with the general fund.
That's
It's the
right.
packets and stuff.
Closes the gap.
Is that the one where it's gonna be way more in the
well,
future?
because right here.
It is
revenue-
gonna go up in the future.
Because it's right, is the revenue doesn't seem to have an impact on the general fund much. But if you look down the road, when this fund is depleted, it will be fully funded by the general fund.
The costs are going up slowly with cost of living increases and whatnot. And the revenue, even though they've got the revenue flat in each year, the revenue has been on a downward
It's
trend.
still gonna be revenue coming in.
There is still going to
The
be
gap may
revenue.
widen,
Yes,
but it's not gonna be like, oh, it's going away in 2023.
Right.
There's still gonna be those sale of those packets and et cetera, et cetera.
right. And the alternative is, if you say no to this, then the clerk needs to reduce FTEs.
The court,
The clerk.
the clerk.
Clerk. And these people support people who are going to court and not hiring an attorney.
Yeah, so this was their first priority, so I'm gonna vote yes for this one.
Yes, so I got 2 thumbs up. Commissioner Edwards, what are you doing on this? Where is your?
Well,
That's why I voted no for the other one, just because I knew I was gonna support this even more because of the direct services that they give to people.
so right now, it's not such a drastic impact right now, is it?
Right now, it is no impact.
Yeah.
It's like
Right,
7,000
and
a
at
year.
first
Yeah,
it'll
so I
be,
mean-
Negligible.
yeah, small, it'll
But the
grow
gap's
over
widening.
time.
Yeah, it's widening and somewhere down the road, it's gonna change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, good. Yes, and this is.
That was a medium plus on that.
I was mean.
So,
That was
the
a-
line 192.
Oh, you, well, then I was low.
Line 193 is already
covered
decided as a
193.
no. Line 194 is from the prosecuting attorney. He is asking to add a business applications tech 2 position to the PAO office. And this person would support their various systems, including their new system.
When you say systems, that means like more computer type activity?
And number 2.
Yeah, and this is business applications that are specific to the prosecutor's office, not broad,
And they're not getting tech support from IT?
not on these systems. And again, what I'm talking, so the county has, as we were talking about earlier, a policy to centralize IT.
Right.
But what we centralize are the types of services that apply to every office and department. If your office or department has a
Unique.
computer system that is particular to you and not used countywide, you are expected to support it yourself.
So that like the jail, for an example, might have a separate
ATIMs,
thing.
yep,
Medical activities in the jail.
Kinda, yep, they pay for that themselves. As you know, the sheriff's office has an IT specialist.
Yeah.
Yep,
So I think this one low, but I'm comparing it, we've got on hold the public records legislative assistant for the prosecutor. This is their number 2 priority and that was their number 5. I was more inclined to fund the public records, but if I look at the sheriff's priority, the prosecutor's priority list, I should probably go with this one and not that one. If I could only do one.
right.
So, yeah.
I don't know, what do you guys think?
Okay,
I don't know.
I hope they can make it. Did we do that? Did we make that decision or is that on hold?
That was on hold.
The public records one's on hold, because at least I.
And what was our vote? I'm getting past the argument here, but where were we at before you put it on hold?
We were,
Were you
that
guys
was one of-
decided?
no, we were not. It was
Nobody-
one of the ones where we were up in the air for the legal assistant too. And we just placed it on hold because we just didn't know where it landed, basically, that's.
We were all the same on
We
that?
were all the same on it.
I
We were
don't
kind of
remember.
across the line if we didn't know.
So we'll go with your proposal.
Actually, at first you voted yes, and then
Oh.
you backed out. It was a 3-0 to support the legal assistant.
Yeah,
The
because,
public-
so,
And then you asked to be held.
On the prosecutor's legal assistant?
yes,
Yeah,
I
you
remember
voted
that.
3-0.
So we were all for it, but none of us were like really sure about, like, it was just kind of like,
We
well,
only made the
okay.
meeting plus.
So,
Well, I'm just going through the priorities for the prosecutor.
yeah,
Okay, well,
You've already funded one. This is number 2. Diversion services, I think we funded. That's 3. Victim advocate, we did not fund. They're number 4. And then 5 is their public records. And we funded their 6, which was their leases and offsite leases. So that's where the prosecutor stands.
so I'm gonna go with Commissioner Menser's proposal. I think,
So your proposal, Commissioner Mesa, what is it?
Well, I was just pointing out that the prosecutor has this business applications person, number 2, and their public records assistant, number 5.
So your proposal is to fund this and not the other.
Well, I'm just saying, if we're feeling like we're gonna do one, I'd rather go with what the prosecutor wants and not what I think he should have
I have a
in this
question.
particular instance.
Would this be covered under like the ERP bond that we got? Just,
This has nothing to do with the ERP.
well, it's for the e-prosecutor system they just got, updated system.
That's
Yeah,
outside
but
of the
that's
ERP.
not the ERP.
Nice stretching,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
well, I do
You're
think
trying
that
to connect the dots
chair's
with those
proposal
ones.
makes
Well,
sense to
they're
me.
just so far
That's why I
apart.
take it.
So we're gonna go yes
I think
on
you
this
got
and
3
no
thumbs up.
on the other one.
Yeah,
That's
Is
what
that-
you- So I
okay,
see
so
3 thumbs up
3-0.
for this.
Yes, on this, and on page 26, item 163 is a no.
And that's no longer a hold.
All right, the next line is 195. It is for the coroner. I have it noted as on hold,
Okay.
so we'll come back to that.
And I've got a note here that says if we got the pathologist, we won't
Yeah.
need this. But
Right,
if you'll remember, I believe we got a call on this one that said the bill might be 400,000.
we did.
Yeah.
And
Rather
so
than
it's on
100,000,
hold for
so.
now, and the coroner did send information on how he got to that.
I'm afraid he might be right, because I'm not kidding you, we're gonna have lots more of
He
it.
might be right.
Lots
He just
more.
might be right.
Yeah.
But moving on to line 196, page 35, also from the coroner, he is asking for a chief deputy coroner that would start in 2023. And he made a case that this is necessary to achieve certification for his office.
For 2025.
Right, in 2025, he'll need this, and if they don't get certified by 2025, then the county will start losing reimbursement money. Not this much.
Let's give him the autopsy person.
The pathologist.
Pathologist.
And let's defer this for the next biennium when he needs it. That's my proposal.
And I think that's his
Shortcut
priority.
these we can go round and round on this for
A long
a
time,
long time.
I'm with you.
Give him what he needs and defer on the other.
Yeah.
So we're gonna say no to this, we're gonna say yes to the pathologist,
Yeah.
and that gets us out of the need for additional autopsy.
Right.
So give me what
So
pathologist.
So that's gonna be
Then
no.
we get caught up with,
So line 195 is no.
with
So the pathologist, the new forensic pathologist, option 1 is page 20, number 87, and that's gonna be a yes. Okay, and then
okay, so
option,
this is 30, yes.
and then option 2, which is 195, page 34, is gonna be a no. And then 196. I got my notes if you guys want them afterwards.
Yep, we got that, I caught up with you.
It's gonna take me just a minute.
Okay.
So that's line 87, you just said yes to.
We're getting closer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the last one.
That's how it works. And then that is a no on 195.
Can we see, Rob?
Yeah, hang on just a sec, and I'll be able to show you the graph. 195 is no, and 196 is a no. And share the screen. So you're getting down to the banks. All right.
That went down quick.
Yep. You can talk about some big items. 197, also from the coroner, he is requesting that you increase his half-time office assistant to full-time.
But that's for the 23.
Yep, it would start in 2023.
Be ongoing.
And then
Put that on hold.
No, I said it'd be ongoing, I said.
Oh, yes, it would be ongoing. Yes, it would.
I'm inclined to give him that myself. I know we're running out of money, but
I wanted to give this one, but,
probably our youngest person probably doesn't need the coroner's service, so probably
And then,
rated it lower.
2023, you have a little more capacity in the second year. So. And I believe he needs that a full time.
all right, I'm gonna go with this.
Yeah.
Okay. We are at,
The next four, I think, are knocked out by the body cam decision, right?
that's right. So the question is, would you like to fund these items with general fund money? They are one-time items in first year only. 75,000 for radios, 30,000 for mobile computer terminals, and 45,000 for a vehicle.
And ARPA for the vehicle?
Yeah, I got word from our ARPA experts that yes, ARPA, the vehicle would qualify
Okay,
for ARPA.
Okay, I'll go with the vehicle.
yeah,
Yes,
but not on the
Yes.
radios and computers? We can't stretch it?
I'm down on
They can't be part of the vehicle?
No.
They are, they're
No,
part of the
one-
vehicle.
one
Said ARPA.
could.
ARPA funds.
Yeah, but I mean, they are part of the vehicle in the sheriff's
One
office.
could be from ARPA.
I don't know how the
With
sheriff's
new
office
vehicle,
managed
but
to
not
get touched
all
to a
of-
vehicle.
And he needs radio.
Okay, here, I do have a question about radios.
Go ahead.
I don't know the answer to this, but what about portable radios for their use, which is quite a bit less? I know that the communication folks are in the process of upgrading everything for all the entities they're working with. So I'm just wondering, would a portable radio be good enough? That way, they could have the portable radio when they go into a house, for an example. They don't always work in all parts of rural America, but most parts they do. And I'm just wondering if
Isn't
that's,
that what they're talking about?
I don't know, like if they're talking about radios for for their car.
They're talking about having law enforcement grade radios.
Yeah, but it doesn't say portables, does it?
I don't think these are in the cars, these are so they have something when they go into crime scenes.
I'm wondering about that. Is Gary watching?
I don't know, but we can reach out, we put this on hold and reach out to Gary and see what these are.
I think what happens is, actually, there was a call out by my place last night, and there was deputies there and the coroner's office. And I think they're worried about under 1310, maybe the deputies have to leave in certain situations where there's some aggravation or it's going south, is what we used to call it. And the coroner's left there by himself once it's determined that it's not a crime.
I'm not funding anything related to 1310 because it's going to change. And the situation is going to change in the next legislative session. And unless it was a need to spend that one-time money, we made that decision by purchasing body cams. So we don't need to spend that money. And I'm not going to invest in infrastructure for a law that's in a state of flux.
Okay, and does that cover that whole 75,000 under 198?
Yes,
Does that cover the cell phones? Where's the cell phones listed at?
cell phones.
So didn't we discuss?
No, the assessor was asking for a cell phone,
I
which
thought
you
the
did.
coroner was looking for cell phones too.
I don't recall the.
Okay, maybe I can get them mixed up.
Cell phones for the coroner.
Okay,
Maybe they'll give us more funding next year for law and justice legislation, that would be great.
I think you made the decision to support the vehicle using ARPA funds.
Yeah,
And you know, you really may consider just waiting, say no at this time for the two items.
That's where I'm at.
So,
I guess the MCT mobile.
okay, thumbs on 189, the up or down, or not 189,
on
198. So, thumbs on the radios. So I see one down.
You're talking about 98?
I'm talking about 198, thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
199,
And 199, that's for the mobile computer terminals. I see thumbs down, a down, and a down. Okay, so we've got those. And
I'm hoping next year we'll get one. Do you know if the law and legislation funding that came through, will they do that again, or was that just kind of?
oh, they've made very clear that it's one time. They're gonna do it one time.
They're not gonna give it that grant again?
They're not gonna give a second round of one-time funding. If they do any funding, it'll be to address the ongoing costs, because that's what local jurisdictions need, and they've not talked about that.
Wishful thinking.
That goes with that. So the next item is line 202 for human resources. It is the addition of an executive assistant in the HR office. They have
Basically, they lost this
position.
position on confidential funds.
and that's their number one priority. If I will strongly suggest the board to look for ways to fund this. They need it.
It is the number one.
Yeah, because the other, the buyout is countywide, which you already made a decision that. The training pool, you already made a decision on that. And related to the online training. So the only structural request they have is this position.
I mean, JASCOM is higher for me, so.
What?
I'm like, JASCOM is higher for me on my priority list.
Can we put this one on hold?
Can we put it on hold?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
All right, 203 has already been decided as a no. 204 is from Public Works. This is $50,000 only in 2022 to do a trail permit program evaluation and update. One-time money.
I don't think I totally understood this at the time. I know Commissioner Edwards had questions. Can we bring Jennifer up?
Yep.
I think how that relates to the previous item on asset management.
I think I might have been low on this one just because I didn't completely get Thurston.
So currently, we have the program was established in 1994. It's not been updated since 1994.
What does it mean?
When you say program,
So the program is for all uses that are non-recreational for the trail. Crossings, utilities,
Signage, is that included?
signage would be more in terms of the operations, which would be a part of my previous request in terms of managing that a sign as an asset. But this is more related to, we have a program in place that says if you are accessing your property that you have across, you have to cross the trail to get there. There's a process that you go through to get that, and I think for residential, it's like $150 for that permit.
I guess I'm asking, my question would be why? Why do you have to pay the county to drive across the trail to get to your property, to your house?
Because it's a wear and tear on the asset that the county has. It's a use that they have that goes across. Just like if there's utilities that are running parallel to the trail, we ran into not knowing, this is part of that asset management, not knowing the location of our utilities because they're not.
Was that
Map.
Spurgeon Creek,
It was
upgrade?
Latigo, it was just
Latigo,
south of
yeah.
Latigo, and so there was a delay, and then we had to do a workaround, and because we didn't know where it was, because it wasn't identified. That's that part of needing to collect the data to be able to better manage that.
How would we
asset.
know, how would this help us know that?
That's the previous request. This one updates the current program that we have that was made in 1994 that says it's $150. We need to have that looked at, just like it's a best practice to look at. If you put a plan in place, you don't want to keep that plan in place since 1994. Things change.
Okay.
What we charge our utility companies, what we charge. We want to
Do you have revenue coming in from utility companies that use your trails right away?
if they have a permit. But that's the other piece, is finding out who's all using it and what permits do we have. I mean, just the lack of documentation.
But this isn't earth shattering if this doesn't happen this year, right? Have
So
you
I'm
ever
gonna
asked-
walk a fine line because the county manager is giving me a look,
Have you
so.
ever,
Here's what I would say, Commissioner, I would say that the board allocated $500,000 in 2020 specifically earmarked for parks. All of the requests that we put in from my perspective, all are part of that 500,000. I believe that the assistant county manager and the county manager have a different perspective than I do, but that is my perspective, that the board allocated 500,000. The request that we've put in 2022 total 100,000, and in 2023 total 50,000.
have you got have you got a specific example of damage to the trails that a citizen driving to their house did?
No, but I don't think we need to have damage to be able to collect money for just the wear and tear, and then just the administration of that permit, the tracking of it.
I mean, I guess I'd opt for no more permits, and, I mean, when somebody drives across the trail, their access or ingress egress on that trail might be 15 feet wide. And if we're gonna pave the trail, we're not gonna pave 15 feet, we're gonna pave the whole thing anyway. And I just hate to nickel and dime citizens every time they turn around, so that's kind of my initial position on that. I just don't, I'm not crazy about this, so. I don't think it's high enough priority.
I'm just confused about the funding. I mean, it's like $100,000 to parks. I mean, my opinion is you get to spend that to administer parks. We just set the budget.
Set the
You're
priority.
telling me that that's just something you want to do with the money we already budgeted. So why are we being asked for more money? I mean, I'm not
I
hearing,
have just sent a question to the budget team asking if you add up the entire appropriation of general fund to the parks program, how much is that?
if it's more than
So
500.
they're gonna get
It's
back
gonna
to
be
us.
500 and then it's gonna be probably another 120 because the general fund was contributing 120. That was our maintenance level.
Uh-huh.
And then remember in 2020, and I said, I never thought I would do this, I never thought I would ask for
Yep,
money out of the road fund for the parks. That's the 500,000.
yep, I remember that. So they've got
So-
620.
If it adds up to 620 or less, if the amount that staff identify add up to something less than 620, then I would ask you to please fund this. So we're gonna find out how much it is.
Okay.
We're
I'm
gonna
not
deal with
probably
the
gonna
REIT
honor
as a
that
revenue,
request
right?
anyway.
Projects.
I just don't get it
That's
myself,
another
I'm not
piece
there.
too, right?
REIT as a revenue for projects.
Are we
So I
getting
have
funding
no
for
idea
capital
what you're
projects?
asking about, and we need to take that offline.
Okay.
Commissioner McKee, questions or comments?
So let's put this on hold
Yeah.
until we get an answer from.
Okay, but if she's got a question
but-
for the
Yeah,
director,
yeah,
let's
I'm
get it
sorry, I'm
out
sorry,
now.
yeah, no, I was sorry, I was trying to kind of like frame my thoughts into what I'm thinking. So this is for a plan that has been in place since 1994. So with that $50,000, I mean, I know it's to update the plan. I mean, is it gonna be through a contractor that's gonna
A
come in?
consultant,
A consultant that's gonna come in and update the plan?
yes,
And-
working with staff. So on both of those, basically it's leveraging the existing resources that we have, yes.
And so with that 50, I mean, is that kind of an estimate of what it would cost for the consultant? Will it be less, will it be,
It is an estimate, yes,
so it can be less?
it could be.
And at the end of the day, you're gonna have, it's like a fee study, like they're gonna say, you need to charge $700, not $150 for this type of,
That would be a part of it, yes.
what else?
And it'll also update just the policy language, how we, the licensing agreements that we use for those permits, all of the components of that documentation for managing the
Just
use of the trail.
updating this program is basically
Yes,
a concise way to put it. And we need this program because it helps maintain the trails, because we're charging
because
people
it's
for
a
the.
use. So anytime that we want to be consistent, right? So we don't want to do one-off. So we want to start from some type of document or program that says, here's how we're going to do things, so that there is predictability for the people that are coming to say, hey, we want to use a piece of this trail, a portion of this trail. So we don't want to do that in terms of
For what?
one-offs,
What do they wanna use it for?
for non-recreational purposes.
And just having
Crossing,
access?
utilities, access.
The thing I'm thinking about on that whole thing is all these trails are prior railroad right-of-ways. And there weren't a lot of drives that went across those in the old days. They were pretty exclusive to the railroads. So I don't know, do you think you have 200 access permits maybe? I don't know. I wouldn't have any idea, but it surprised me if you had 100 of them, I guess.
I think that that's a really good question. That's why we're trying to get it documented, to find out what do we actually have.
And I don't have your priority list in front, so if you were listing out your priorities, does the Parks Access Strategic Asset Plan, was it higher on your list than this one? I can't remember, or maybe you didn't do it that way.
Well, we did it per program.
So if I made you merge all of your programs and create a integrated priority list, because they're about the same amount of dollars,
I would respectfully decline having to have to do that because they're all different funds.
Okay.
The asset management plan was rated number 1. The trail permit program was number 2. The staffing tools and equipment was number 3 because the board had already approved a staffing position last year. So this was an additional one. And
Two, you asked for 2, right? We funded 1.
one was already approved last year with the caveat that you needed to have funding. We needed to find funding for the position.
Oh,
And then the 4th was the direct appropriation and general fund. So there were 4 asks.
How much money was that direct appropriation?
That was the 300,000 and then you made it 150.
Yeah, 150, to see the money.
No, that was the seed money. That was for cash flow needs.
Oh, the
That-
direct appropriation was the 500.
Right, which nets to 0, which means you're already getting 500.
I don't know, I'm just not there.
Right.
I just
So-
don't see it.
Put this on hold.
okay.
We're gonna figure out exactly how much is going to parks.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's keep going then.
All right.
205.
Oh. No answer yet. So, 205, community planning, establishing a planning professional services budget. This is so the CPED could contract out to have help in making progress on the docket items.
I think it was more, in addition to that response to whether you want to hire consultants to expedite permits or docketing items. And that's in response to the conversation, at least maybe from Commissioner Edwards.
I want,
Commissioner Edwards wanted the applicant to.
yeah, I want the applicant to pay for it. I don't wanna have
We
tax.
need to establish a fund first. Whether we increase our revenues.
How did we do it when we had Lakeside pay for their process somehow?
That was an agreement for a specific deliverable.
Yeah,
It was a reimbursement, that's it.
Right.
So it's possible to do it without this.
You could set up what is known as a pay-to-play program.
yeah, that's kind of what
That's
I'm.
not quite what we did with Lakeside. It was a little
I just
different.
use Lakeside as an
And
example.
for Evergreen, well, Evergreen College was the
Yeah,
same.
Evergreen College did
Yep,
something like that too.
they paid and then with the understanding that the outcome wouldn't necessarily be exactly what they asked for. But yeah, if you were to set up a program where an applicant could pay in to have someone working on the code that they had proposed, then you would, the CPED would need appropriation, but it would come with revenue.
Which
And
is how we did
I'm
it
sure
before.
that the guy who just walked in the door can tell you a little more about exactly how that could work.
Well, I don't think he cares how it works, he just cares if he gets it. You're gonna make, you're the person that's gonna make it
He
work.
cares that he's meeting the goals of the board. That's what he cares about.
Josh, are you, let me ask it this way. Are you, is this responsive to what you've heard from the board, or do you independently, if the board had never broached this topic, find this to be of value to your group, to have this budget for professional services outlay?
It's both, again. So first off, I would say the Assistant County Manager hit my goal exactly right, which is to fulfill the direction of the Board of County Commissioners. We've had lots of conversation about contracting out work, and I've heard one of the options, make the applicant pay for it. One of the other discussions was there's technical work that CPED doesn't have the staff technical background to fulfill. So it's like, where is all of the economic development land, I think it's in there, it's said better than I'm saying it right now, but there's studies that need to be done to fulfill the direction of the board and the docket items that we don't have the staff technical background on. So it's two different things. Yes, we've heard the conversation about the applicant paying for work. We also know that the board wants us to do some technical work that we don't have the chops for, and so that's what this request is for. So in honor of the request, can't you just get things going faster? The way we would get this faster is to have a professional services budget. So exactly, so we don't have to come to you on a one-off every single time. So we've got something to dip into, and we're like, there's a technical matter here, we need to fund, you got it, we can go. Right now, we're coming to you, and it's very slow, and it's slowing down the docket review process. So,
Commissioner McGinn?
No,
I said $50,000 as a starter for this and
That's-
see how it goes.
Yeah.
Not to give 150,000. I definitely see if you think that there's times on key items where you hit a wall and it slows you down and we want these things moving, it could be of general interest to the board to have your ability to get that technical information to plug in to your analysis. I support that and I see value to that, but I just want to make sure we can afford it. Go ahead.
So I guess this gives us possibly the best of both worlds, finding that technical person that might meet the need of something special or unique. And if we do have an applicant that wants to kick in a portion to work the process through, we've got a fund to put money in, is that how it would work?
I think that's a Rob's question.
if we were to have the applicant pay in and go to a pay-to-play,
Yeah.
we could do that in the general fund and track it with codes, but
And
it
with
would
this,
not need to be a separate fund.
This is money where we're basically paying for
Right.
Yeah,
an
It's
item
different.
to be advanced,
well
do
then,
some technical work.
And it's kind of, those are two different kind of, so we're talking about the larger docket items that the board has directed us to work on, like agriculture and economic development, and there's a concept of,
transfer development, right?
thank you, TDR, so the bigger things. What you're referring to is like the applicant-specific items that they directly want, and those are two very important things, but they're also a little separate. So this is for the bigger topics that the board is asking us to.
And I think what Josh trying to implement is how the work does. You heard they use consultants to do a specific studies. For instance, there are some of the requirements, archaeological studies. We don't have the staff that have the level of expertise in public works. So they pull a consultant, do that specific study and move on. That is what Josh is trying to implement.
It's almost like, you put it another way, we could hire you another planner to get more work done, but giving you this ability to contract out for little pieces might actually get more work done than giving you another human being
Yes.
when you're still gonna have these missing pieces of technical gap.
Bingo, because the thing is in addressing specific technical needs that expedites the process.
It's akin to hiring a new planner to get these docket items done.
Versus a brand new planner, which you already approve full-time now.
Half.
You increase that. So it's a little bit different related, but I think this is what Josh really wants to implement is be a little more strategic as to how those document items can move forward.
I kind of like your proposal, but I guess you better hear from Commissioner.
Maybe 50, I might even go to 50% on this and just say 75,000, assuming we can make it fit into our graph.
So the county, just real quick, the county manager had it right on in terms of, this is the efficient way, instead of bringing on a whole new person on staff.
Yeah.
Targeting, so
Yeah.
efficient, effective, cost reduction, that's our goal.
Okay, Commissioner McGinn, looks like you got everything.
I think I was low rating on this.
Okay, you're too low on this one.
Well, I don't know, what are the options? Are you,
I think
Are the other two
Commissioner Messer stated that perhaps he may be going 50% of the request.
so
75,000 a year.
75,000 a year? Well, yeah, I would be willing to try it out and see where,
Okay.
and then we can
Are we
reevaluate.
up for
Thank you.
75,000?
Started.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you very much.
Sometimes I try to say so much not to advocate for but I'm crossing the line, I know.
Do we have a meeting at 1, another?
No, we're here till 3, we just, at some point, hopefully there's food.
Lunch is here?
'Cause I don't eat breakfast, so can we take a break and grab food?
Yep.
Do
Sorry.
we not have the dangerous dog designation of you?
Next week.
Oh, that's next
Next
week?
week.
I don't know why I thought it, probably because I saw the papers and I thought it was.
I asked for them to be presented in a week, at least a week in advance.
Okay, thank you.
Just 5 minutes, Commissioner?
Let's take 10 minutes to get food and get back and seated, and then 1:10, we'll pick back up.
So we are,
Well,
we're
no, in fact,
gonna,
we're not live yet.
You're like,
oh,
Okay, 1:14 PM, Board of County Commissioners picking back up with our budget deliberation session. We're doing a working lunch here, so we'll be eating as we go through the last remaining items on our sheets. Go ahead, Robin.
all right, we are on page 38. I am skipping lines 206 and 207 because they are tied to an item on page 40. So going to line 208, this is a request from Superior Court to add a jury administrator. It's tied to Chandler Court, and we can do this with the ARPA money for the backlog. So, yep, good.
Which one you?
Well,
So that's two.
I
didn't want to be,
Hmm?
didn't think it was needed, or?
I thought we couldn't make a decision on that because it came from the $1 million from
It's
ARPA.
part of the 1 million, we're gonna manage the 1 million.
I'm sorry, this is
So-
the 206 line item?
No, this is 208,
Besides
we're
that,
skipping
that's
206 and 207 for a moment.
So we didn't really get into it because of the,
Right.
because it would be up to the courts on how they would, and everyone else,
The
how they
county
would.
manager
How
is
they
gonna be
need
part
to
of that
manage
too.
the million. Yep, so that's the ARPA. Part of the ARPA. And 209 goes with that.
I'm sorry, I missed the 206, what?
We skipped the 206, we'll come back to that in a minute. Line 210 is a request from the Sheriff Law Enforcement, $50,000 in the first year and $5,000 ongoing, for ballistic shields to be added to the ER&R fund. So it's 50,000 in the first year because they want to purchase them now and then contribute to ER&R.
where
on a
are you at on
ongoing
this?
basis. I am on page 38, line 210. For the sheriff.
Oh, so it's 50, now I was thinking that was 5,000.
50, it's 50 in the first year and then ongoing 5,000 a year into ER&R.
I thought the riot team was disbanded by the sheriff. That was my question on this one.
I'm sorry?
I thought that the sheriff disbanded the riot team.
I don't know the answer to that.
Because they didn't feel that the typical tactics of that team would fit with the new legal requirements when they shield up and move the crowd through pushing and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I believe they exercised that when in the last demonstration, the city of Olympia asked for support in Sheriff's Office. Big one.
So I'm done with this.
I see one thumbs down.
50,000.
you know, I had looked at that as a $5,000 thing, I didn't see the 50,000 on that one,
Two thumbs down.
I wish I knew more information on that 213 issue. 20, isn't it 2013?
1310.
1310, yeah.
But you're right, I think there's a lot of moving pieces on that, as Commissioner Mensah stated, that is going to be one of the elements the legislature is going to try to tackle next year, right?
So he doesn't have any of those shields now? Is that what I'm hearing? None?
No, he does.
He does have?
He wants to buy 50 and then have a contribution to
Right,
ER&R.
but I mean, right now he doesn't have
I
any?
have no idea what
I
he
think
does or
he
does
wants
not
to
have today, I don't know.
Replace them.
I have two thumbs down on this.
Well, then
Where are you falling, Commissioner?
I'm gonna go thumbs up without knowing, just because I support law enforcement on that, but
Okay, so 2 to
Okay.
1.
I guess 2 to 1, there's no point putting it on hold, I'm not gonna win anyway, but that's okay, I mean, it's the process, you know?
If you want to put it on hold, it's okay. We put items on hold after we voted for them.
Yeah, but we've only got an hour, unless we could get a call from somebody at the sheriff's office and answer that question, you know? If they've got 50 already and they want 50 more, I'll probably know
Do they possibly want to replace the ones they currently have if they have them? But, we'll see if we can't connect. So I'll ask Patty or Denise to send a note. Heidi
Okay, could we
is
put it on hold
watching,
just
I'm
for
sure.
a few minutes maybe or something then?
Yep, it can be on hold.
Because maybe I can talk my seatmates into something if I have the right talking points.
Right?
We're the
Okay.
county commissioners.
Moving on, so line 212 is the coroner asked for funding from general fund to respond to the new policies due to House Bill 1310. And what they are saying is they need additional FTEs to go out so that they always send 2 staff members to every scene.
That's too premature.
Pardon?
It's too premature.
I see 2 thumbs down, 3 thumbs down.
That's quite a chunk.
You already said no to 213, and now we have 214, and this is attached to,
206?
Yep,
Okay, got it.
this is exactly. This is the desire for a 5th courtroom at the FJC, and what Superior Court has proposed is they'll pay about $100,000 out of the trial court improvement fund, and that we pay the additional $500,000 out of the general fund in 2022. Now, what,
The ARP
thumbs
funds pay
down?
for that?
No, ARPA funds
Well,
cannot
they
pay
need
for
more
this.
social distancing. We're renting that building over there.
They do,
That's
and
what we
but
could
what
tell
they
them.
really
tried.
need,
We talked about that.
Yeah.
we did, and what I am proposing to you is Superior Court has space needs in the FJC, the clerk has expressed needs, the prosecutor has expressed needs.
Might get that
We
part of the
need to do a
remodel.
study of that building and see what everyone there needs, what the best plan is.
Yeah.
So I saw down.
But it comes down to 206 and 214.
Yes,
I just want to make sure.
Yep.
The next item is 215 and 216. Just say yes, this is a technical thing where the prosecuting attorney and grant has ended, so they are eliminating the expenditures that would have been under the grant. So
So we're
yes,
gonna get
yes,
money
yes.
back?
Yes,
Hard to vote against that.
I know. Yep, it is. So.
We already dealt with 217.
And
Yeah, 217.
Denise has her hand up.
the very last item on this.
Hold on, Denise, go ahead.
You got an answer back from the sheriff's office?
Oh, who?
Yeah, these are additional shields.
So they already have 50 of them, or what do they have? No.
Did they say how many they already have?
I didn't ask that question. What I asked was, were these 50 going to be replacements of what we already have, or are these an additional shields?
Well, we'll just have.
I can ask a different question.
Yes, please.
Disbanding of the-
How many, how many?
I think that is a good answer for now.
I think let's move on.
Yeah.
So going back to that, what is based on the new information?
That's 210. That's the Prosecco.
So is
Thumbs down
that thumbs down?
Yeah.
for the shields. Okay. So we'll just say that's a no.
We did 217, 218, correct?
We did.
We're on the
Last
left
item.
one.
Yep,
Before
the
the-
very last one is 219. It is a request from Emergency Management, $8,000 a year for various supplies and minor tools.
Why is it unranked?
Because it was not on your ranking worksheet at the time they did their presentation. And I'm not quite, it may be one that we missed putting on, but, it just wasn't there.
Didn't they play a big part in this whole COVID issue out there? at her shop?
Meaning, they help in the initial response.
Yeah, I mean, a big part. There's a lot of activity out there. We had
Still going
emergency
on, but
centers.
Where are you going with this?
Well, I'm going to ours.
That's where I thought you were going. We have already funded a ton of PPE. Anything that can be coded to the pandemic is being coded to the pandemic, and we are about to do a claim with FEMA. We are billing PPE to the recovery fund money. This is an ongoing need of supplies that they need.
Well, it says here copiers, for an example. Well,
Yeah.
gosh, if they wore their copier out on COVID issues, they ought to be able to buy one out of ARP funds.
I don't think we can stretch it quite that far
Yeah.
this year.
I don't know, I listened to the president, he says you can just about get anything out of it. Okay.
Emergency management.
So I think it's just a cost of doing business. It's just like,
Okay.
I mean,
still amount.
It's so small. It's a small amount that they could probably absorb.
That's-
I think
I
you,
suppose like
I
that's
think
still,
everybody spend that amount and outline specifically what they need on the justifications.
Did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah. To a level of precision that probably does not exist in the budget.
I like it myself. I don't need, I didn't say I need it, but
Are you backing this one, Commissioner?
Yes, I'm backing this one.
I see one thumbs up then.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mejia. Can we help you with
I
some
think he's a-
information?
I was just kind of.
A very efficient job running over there myself, so.
Might be, sorry.
What was their reversion?
So for emergency management, their version was 553,000, $500,000, really?
They can absorb this.
Okay, then I'm
Thank
down.
you.
Okay, so, Commissioner Edwards, if you said yes?
Yeah, it's 2-1.
All right, then give me a few minutes to update my graph and we're gonna start back
On
through
the holds.
on the holds, yep.
Did I win or lose on that?
You lost that
We
one.
lost. They had.
Because they reverted $500,000.
Oh, okay.
No,
It's like, oh.
let's stay here. I guess I'll ask a couple of questions to Ramiro maybe. Did we?
The cameras, we haven't discussed that.
Okay, because it's not on my list, but I've got the little sheet. I know we talked about doing all the jail ones through detention sales tax,
Yeah,
but I don't know
that
that
was a
we
conversation.
mentioned all the non-jail ones.
You didn't get to that conversation.
Okay, so that should be on my whole list.
I mean, you didn't get to the decision.
Decision point, yeah. Okay, just checking.
So let's see, I have 7 complete, 5 complete, 6 complete, 3 and 4 are not complete. Where did my 2 go? Yes.
I got like 6 or 7 that I'm on the fence about.
Are we gonna go through all of them? Because, well, 3 has number 21. And that's the Public Works Accounting Assistant 3.
We already said yes to that.
You said yes to that one?
Yep, that was
So which
yesterday.
one?
Public Works Accountant.
That was
Yes.
the Public
Yep.
Works, okay, so then.
So the only thing that's on hold on a separate packet for non-general fund, because we went back and we said yes to all of the medic ones, I'm looking at packet number 4, non-general fund policy requests, all other. And there are only 2 items in that packet that are on hold still.
I just have number 30. Oh, 28? Is that one?
Are you on the third, number 3 packet?
I'm on packet number 4 because everything in packet number 3 has been resolved.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I had a hold on 21 for some reason on
On
packet
number 3,
on 3.
packet number 3.
So, or did you have number 21? That was probably the
Yeah.
one I had, and that was with the Public Works Accounting Assistant
Yeah.
who voted yes for that one.
Yeah, when you looked at all the requests
Okay,
to
so we
support
took care
the
of that.
ERP, you
Yeah.
took care of that.
3-0 on note 21.
Yeah, that was a yes.
Yeah, that was a yes.
Okay.
So.
But there's one other non-department, there's one other non-general fund that I just missed on my list because it nets to 0 in the same fund. There's a CPAD request, it's for Water Specialist 1 that they're funding by reducing professional services.
Which
So-
packet are you,
It's not in a packet because everything reconciled without this in it because it netted to 0. It should be in the CPAD request. I did send you the change request this morning.
okay, I haven't seen it yet. Thank you.
So let's tackle packet number 4.
We're going back on packet 4.
Yeah, I think it's only one left. I've got to my
There are
left.
2.
2 items in packet 4. So let me get back to where I was. 2 items in packet 4. The first one is on page 3. It is a hold on line 13.
Yes.
Central Services.
This is the
It's
camera.
the cameras. It is the cameras. And the cameras at the jail are on the verge of failing.
Well, I thought we decided that would come out of the,
It could come out of detention sales
Yeah,
tax,
for the
but no
jail.
one has said yes to that yet.
Yeah, so my proposal is gonna be, let's do the jail and juvenile court, or jail, or detention, the juvenile detention center and the jail. Jail's cameras, because I'm hearing those are kind of like the top priority, and then maybe hold off on the,
The juvenile detention facility is not a high priority,
No.
we just replaced them.
okay, well then.
Why are they
So,
on here?
But the old jail, why are they on here?
Yeah.
Because the whole point of this request is to establish a reserve account to replace the cameras as we need to.
Oh.
And you would start paying in right now for the FJC, but you would not need the expenditure right now. The deal at the adult jail is that the cameras are failing now. And we've got to replace them now. That's why the $600,000 for the jail is in 2023.
When did the jail open?
Oh,
2000, they moved in 2015, so it was operational a couple of years before that.
Yeah,
2013.
13, 14.
So the cameras last 7 years when they failed.
What I am being told, we
they
totally
could have
need to
sat
now.
there, not being
Because
used
they were
from
installed
about
in 2013.
2009.
Sir.
No.
Could've.
Absolutely not, 2009.
Oh, when did they get done with it about then?
No.
No, I mean, they didn't get an occupancy permit, but the building was built and they were still finishing things.
Lots of things that didn't go in until well
It
after
it made
2009.
unoccupied for 2 years.
Right,
Okay, so
the-
what do we need to do here?
so I am, I'm trying to be objective about this and not have my central services hat on. The board could approve $600,000 to be paid out of detention sales tax and then the ongoing contribution to start a reserve at least for those cameras. Because cameras at the jail are critical. You can only have 2 people in the whole jail and you would need the cameras. So the rest of it, if you don't start a reserve today, we would be coming back to you as we need cameras.
Okay, that's where I'm at.
Alright.
I'll fund what detention sales tax can fund.
The jail,
Yeah, me too.
and that's.
And then that would leave 224,000 that we would basically have to find a way to accommodate in 2024.
Well, not necessarily.
Some, not
That-
until-
Come
that
back,
is-
she just said they'd come back as they fail.
Right,
might have
we come back to you as they fail, or we could come back again in 2 years and ask you to establish
Start a
a fund,
reserve then.
because it's not an appropriate midterm.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing is this request, 600,000 using the detention sales tax.
And that chows into the, whatever additional capacity could be created out of detention sales tax.
Yes.
Because
Yes,
I
it
thought,
does.
I already thought we had that discussion and we agreed to that.
Oh, I did not hear a yes to that.
Okay, so,
All right, so that's the
Thumbs
yes.
up on that?
Yeah,
Yes, for the DST part.
yes to 600.
Right, from DST. And,
And please bring this back up, Robin, at the next biennial, to address it holistically.
we will. Thank you. Thank you, we totally will. The other item that I have on hold in this packet is on page 8. It is line 30. And it is the request from IT for additional infrastructure for operations. So I didn't think that we'd settled on that one yet. That it is
I
on.
voted down for it.
This is which one again?
This is line 30 on page 8,
Okay.
Hey Denise,
packet 4.
are you there Denise?
Of course, I'm here.
Do you receive some feedback from Dennis related to
I
kind of
did.
which will be the cloud option?
And yes, I did.
What-
And
What is
I
that?
sent it, so it's a PowerPoint. It's a short PowerPoint. Hang on just a second.
Maybe you can give us the punchline of the PowerPoint, that would be great.
I will do my darndest.
this is number 2. That would be 2.
I think this is the one that Commissioner Mejia, you felt we weren't going into the modern age or something?
Well, that, for me, it also comes down to, I mean, the prosecutor was one of the first offices that really fought to be on the cloud system. They wanted to put him also on kind of like a main database, and he said, no, I want to go on the cloud because it's the safest for kind of the documents that I handle. And I was asking him, I asked his office specifically, I was like, well, how's it worked for you? And he was very happy with it. It's easy for his staff to access it, and the security level on top of it. This has been something also that the auditor has been requested for a long time. So for me, I just don't want to keep investing in systems that are then going to go out of date, and we're just going to keep investing in replacing these systems.
So this request, we're buying our own equipment, the prosecutor's using the cloud,
The prosecutor's using the cloud, yeah.
and so that's what you're advocating
So
for.
I'm advocating for, I mean, for me, this is kind of like, let's not do this right now and see kind of what our options are for everyone to, like, you know, be on a cloud system. Let's save up and do it. Because yes, it's more expensive. Of course it's more expensive, right? But it's more accessible, it's got more security. And I mean, it's gonna be a requirement pretty soon for offices like the auditor to be on that system. I think it's a requirement now. She advocates for it constantly. And she's had issues getting on that system because, you know, it's, we keep investing in these old infrastructures, and
I've got it, Denise.
so
I've got his PowerPoint.
that's just
Okay.
kind of my spiel on the whole thing. And
No, I mean, heck, the only thing I
I
know
know-
about
I-
clouds is it rains sometimes.
I know the IT director does not agree with me, but
I'm
So
good.
I understand your position. Whether it's a hard infrastructure or the cloud, the need for storage is gonna be there. So, and I think you can probably put a little bit of, if you are willing to support this, to put up provisos to come up with a plan as to how the storage will be. Because my concern is the storage needs are gonna be there, whether it's a hard purchase or a cloud, it's still gonna be we'll have to meet the needs of the storage.
So
And that's
here's,
probably my concern.
here's what Dennis said. He said a few things. You'd asked a number of questions. So here's what the cloud costs, up to 15,000 a month. It's between 5,000 and 8,000 for our 75 terabytes of data. That does not include Laserfish. Applications would vary depending on the use. And then we have applications that cannot be moved to the cloud. So we have to maintain some on-site infrastructure. Then here are some examples of application costs, and I'm not doing a good job of presenting this because number one, I'm seeing it for the first time, and number two, it's an area that I don't,
Yeah, today.
you know, this is not my area of expertise. So the Eagle recorder, if we were to move that to the cloud, it would be between 35 and 84,000 a month. And here are the operational impacts that Dennis has said.
So I have questions about that. I mean, again, I guess I'll just go to the prosecutor because his whole system is on the cloud. And he's not paying this much for it. Not sure if there's some incongruencies there, but that's just kind of my thought process on it. So my thumb is down for this.
Can you put the model up, Robin?
The model. Oh, yes.
You
Yes.
put in $275,000, we could see what the impact would be.
Yep.
Well,
this is
this is
coming-
for the
this
information
is
and
coming out of,
technology
this
reserve.
doesn't come from
Come
the
out of
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
information technology fund.
Oh, right,
This does
right.
not even hit. It would, well, and it's a one-time expense, so
That's why I wanted to see, but I was
Yeah.
thinking general fund. So you need us to vote on this?
yes.
Commissioner Edwards, were you?
I'm gonna go with Commissioner Mahill only because I don't even think I'm qualified to vote on it, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't claim to know everything, but I know very little about this.
Okay, so I'm a thumbs up and there's 2 thumbs down.
Okay.
Is what I'm seeing and hearing.
You wanna call up Bill Gates and see what he's got to say?
I just learned in the news they're gonna be catching up to Apple as to the most valuable company in the world, Microsoft. Is with
Your stock.
within $1 billion.
All right, what's next, Robin?
I am looking at the item that Denise was just mentioning that nets to zero. And I think that what she was telling me is it moves a water resource specialist between 2 funds, but I only see 1 fund listed on the change request. So I think that they can do this administratively. Yes, Denise?
No.
No?
So this would be a new position that they fund by reducing professional services. All in the same fund,
Oh, I see.
right? So that's why it didn't
It's an
They came to
FTE. The
zero.
board has to approve the FTE.
exactly.
So are you okay
Which one are you?
with CPED
It's not including.
Oh,
and this
that's-
is
yeah, fine.
in stormwater, storm and surface water. CPED would reduce their budget for professional services in order to create a new FTE. Is the board okay with that? I see one thumb up,
I guess I'm
two thumbs.
Good now.
Okay, so that's a yes. Thank you,
How am I
Denise.
gonna be recorded?
So where's this one go?
Denise will keep track of that one
Okay.
for us. All right, good. So now we can go back to the model. Because we've got all of these out of the way. And look at the general fund.
How many voltages are there?
On my list, there's 7, but I know there was a couple that you guys had that were.
I have 10.
Okay, that sounds right.
9, 10, yeah, that sounds familiar.
7 were mine personally, and you had a couple, and Commissioner had one.
Okay.
I just wrote all of them
I got a
down.
lot of flags.
So I'm counting 10 too.
All right,
And then, before we go into those 10, can we see how much money, can we kind of talk about how much more money we want to spend?
Well,
Yes.
how much do we have left on the detention sales tax first off, and what availability does that give us?
okay. For detention sales tax, I would need 10 minutes to look at that financial plan. Where you're at right now, you've got, according to this model, you're right about exactly at the right place, where in every year you meet or exceed your target. And I would say that it's okay to go a little below this target. You have spent $3 million in '22 and $2.3 million in '23. I do need a few minutes to calculate capacity in detention sales tax to see how much we can increase that. But if you were to reduce the road diversion reduction plan to $250,000 a year instead of $500,000 a year, that would get you roughly $500,000 in capacity. So
Do we want to get into that discussion now, I guess?
give me a
let's
few
check the
minutes
sales tax,
to look
and then I
at
think-
detention sales
And then I
tax.
think we need to have that
So,
discussion.
do
All
we
right,
go for a break for 10 minutes?
yep, 10-minute break. We're live.
All right, picking back up with our afternoon work session, it's 1:58 PM, and we're got some updated numbers to play with, so go ahead, Rob.
We do. So the first thing I'm going to share is the detention sales tax. Share screen and pick the right one.
See the finish line, 1 hour, Commissioners. You can make it.
You
1 hour.
can, we can. You're down to the last 10 items, I think. So detention sales tax, here's what we have done in 2022. View 3, so that I can do this. And our projected ending fund balance this year is $4.6 million. We're taking in a growing amount of sales tax. We have a substantial ending fund balance. Really, in this fund, you need just over $1 million to meet cash flow needs.
Okay, I gotta get that number again now.
About $1 million to meet cash flow needs.
And where are we at now?
And we're ending 2021 with approximately 4.6 million in the bank.
No, I thought that was detention sales tax.
That is
That's what we're talking about.
detention sales tax.
No, I thought you-
That's what we're, hang on, we're
Oh.
gonna get to the general fund.
No, I thought you said something about sales tax after.
Detention sales tax.
Got it, okay, I got
Yep.
that, sorry.
That's okay. So we're bringing into this fund, we anticipate 8.6 million next year and 9 million the year after. We have current expenditures of about $7 million. You have already voted to increase that by 1,075,000 plus 600,000 for cameras. The 1,075,000 is ongoing every year. The 600,000 is a one-time in 22, and then 100,000 a year in each year thereafter, to contribute to a fund so they can replace the cameras when it's time the next time. And if you add another $1 million shifted out of the general fund, then you have an ending fund balance of, it dips down to 2.8 million, but that is still substantially above your cash flow needs. So this fund is still solid, stripping out another $1 million a year.
So if we did,
If we move then to the general fund and look at that, here's where the graph is now with the decisions that you've made so far. Get this out of my way. And if you then add that,
Additional capacity.
yep, $1 million a year, you've got about $1 million to spend.
Without.
we could keep the road
And
fund shift
it
the same.
keeps the road fund levy shift at a reduction of 500,000 a year. So if you really needed a little more capacity, you could look at that.
Well,
So given that, let's go.
And we're gonna take it, so $1 million, and we are gonna take a tally of the decisions that you made.
From here on out.
From here on out, so we know where you are.
You should do it on the whiteboard. You should go to the whiteboard. Commissioner, yay. In our due dates, we should make sure there's a big whiteboard. All right, so the first item that I have that you have on hold is on page 9, District Court, line 47. It is the court interpreter coordinator for district and superior courts, $103,000.
this was a yes for me.
I was the hold on this, I think.
Okay, tell me where that is again, Robin, where am I gonna find
We're
it?
on packet 2, the big packet, Commissioner. Yep,
Line what?
47.
yep. page 9. Here we go, page 9, line 47.
Line, I think he asked what page, and I was like 47, sorry. I was just looking at the line item, I apologize.
I was the medium and I was the full. You guys said
No.
yes, two.
Now, that is the, 47, right?
Yep.
Line 47. Okay, for two, yeah.
All right, I'll go thumb up.
So
These guys were already there.
3 thumbs up on that.
So that takes 100,000 out
Yeah.
of that.
113.
And we're not worrying about 23 at this point.
Not because this is ongoing.
It's
We'll see the
ongoing,
graph
so that's
that
gonna be
happens.
okay, okay. And that's actually 10 less.
All right, so that's a yes. Off. And then the next one that I have is on page 12. It is line 56, it's for public defense, and it is to expand the indigent services investigator, indigent defense investigator services in public defense. I see 1 thumb up.
I guess I'm gonna look to the prior defense counsel, see if it's needed.
Seeing a thumb up, I see 2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up for that. That is 93,000.
200,000.
That's a good thing, it's like round up.
Well, with the one we just got done now.
Yeah.
And what line number is that? 56. Yes. All right, next I have on page 15, line 68, D0707 for district court, it is $3,500 for training and professional
I
court
thought we
development.
voted down on, we
Very good.
voted
Oh,
down
that's a
that
no?
one. Yeah, that's a no, and Commissioner Mentor and I
Thank
voted
you.
for.
Well, that one was easy.
So the next one that I have is on page 28.
I have page 18,
I have page 18.
number 82.
Yep, line 82. It is for the sheriff law enforcement. It is overtime.
He wants 126. I'm gonna give him this one.
I see 1 thumbs up,
I'd like to solve this
3
overtime.
thumbs up. Woohoo!
You know, the sad thing about this is you never get to solve it, no matter even if you have more people.
Well, I'm trying to do what I can.
Line 83.
So we're at what, 325?
325. I
And
think we can run this.
Where are we going next? What page?
we are on line 19, line 83.
On page 19?
Page 19, line 83,
Okay.
it's for the sheriff. It is additional law enforcement deputies. Now, you asked a question. You asked how many vacancies they currently have. In law enforcement, there are currently 4 vacancies, not including the unfunded ones. If you include those, there are 6 vacancies. You've already funded those 2 unfunded ones. So they are asking
Just
for,
funded the overtime.
Yep.
yep.
I can go
And
1. I wasn't gonna go any, but I'm gonna, given where we are, I can go 1. I wanna get, I wanna see them get where they need to go.
I'm wanting to go the
I know
4.
you want 2. Well, the 4, we already did 2, so I'm saying 3.
Oh.
Right.
Okay, what
What do you
Well,
think?
they're
what was
asking
this?
for, they're asking
They're
for
asking-
2 additional ones.
2.
Commissioner Mentor said, I'll go for 1,
Okay,
additional one.
okay, well, I still want the 2, but we'll see where that goes, I guess, 2.
Yeah, I'll do the 1, and then if we have a little extra, I don't mind going the full 2, but
1 is unanimous.
1 for sure.
And then we can see where we're at the end.
Okay, so I need to know how much to take out of the second year to reflect that we're just gonna fund 1.
Split everything in half, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't split everything in half,
that's right.
because it's the full amount of the first year is the first one.
You
Yeah,
can
so
plug
now
that
it's
in.
212.
Because he was saying he would add the second one in 2023.
So it
Okay,
would be 212 there.
So
Okay.
I've got to,
That puts us to
I'm
5 by
gonna,
halfway.
if 1 year is 2, I'd say that the second year
Okay,
is
what's the
about
number?
100, I'm gonna put in 150,000 for a placeholder, knowing that we're gonna refine the number, and you're gonna let me do that, but it's gonna be close.
We have the number we need for our purposes. I know you need
Yes.
to do the accounting piece, but
Yeah.
we know what we need for our,
Yeah, it's 212.
yeah, that's
the one
212, because that's the
deputy
first
for
year.
the year.
okay.
Second year's got a bigger impact.
537.
Is 1. Okay, now we are on page 23.
23.
20, oh gosh, thank you.
Oh, on the lead buyout. So we
22, I've got.
We did that.
already did that, sorry.
23.
All right, thank you.
Wait.
Page 23, line 142.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it's non-departmental, oh, it's the road shift, so that
Don't need to
is
do
like
anything.
the last thing we'll look at.
Okay.
Okay, if you need capacity, we'll go back there. Then I'm on page 25, line 157 for the clerk. Oh, I got 2 yes votes on that, that one's done.
I think those were already done, only one.
Yep.
position.
So we're on page 26, line 163 for the prosecutor.
You already did
This
that.
is the legal assistant, and you said
No.
no to this.
Because we did the business
Because you
associate.
did the other one that he
Well,
ranked
not
higher,
because,
the
but
IT guy.
At the time we made that decision.
Right. So that one's a no. Then I have line 176, that's on page 29, community planning. It is the administrative person. I see 1 thumbs up, I see 2 thumbs up.
Okay,
Yep, okay, 3 thumbs up for admin, and that's line 176.
That was a 3-0, right?
I think so.
Yep.
You know, I might want to, if you can indulge me, I didn't expect that we'd have, you know, kind of this, I might want to talk about that prosecutor's public records person. Just to check with my seatmates if they feel any differently about it, no?
I do not,
Okay.
but I don't know how.
Any interest in that, no?
let's finish this and see where we're at.
Okay.
Okay, let's see, it looks, so we did the community planning, you said yes to that.
I've got 182 on hold.
That is the next one that I'm on. It's for public works, it's the 50,000, and I heard from Denise that we currently have $500,000 going to parks. So it's not 620, it's only 500,000. So if you would like to say yes to the rest of parks to get them back to the 620 they had, I'm not sure how it went down, but it did.
And that goes up on the board if we do that.
Yep, it will go on the board
Yeah,
if
we
you
need-
say yes.
We need to add that, yeah.
So 182 for the Parks and Trails Strategic Asset Management,
And this would be,
50,000 a year.
and then there's another one
Yeah.
coming up on parks.
I see 2 thumbs up.
The next one's the trail.
Wait, I
program.
didn't put my thumbs
Yeah.
up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I want to see on the trail permit thing. Okay, I'll tell you what.
That's coming up.
That's
We're
coming
on the parks. strategic asset management plan.
I just hate to have studies about stuff that I think we can do. I mean, I can answer most of these questions.
Fire Commissioner Edwards.
I really could. Just
That's okay, guys, it's your prerogative.
You know, one thing you could do, since they should have 620,000 going to parks, that's where I had thought the base was, and for whatever reason it's not, you could add another 100,000 and leave it to your parks, your public works director to manage their appropriation as she sees fit. And then it would be exactly what you thought it was, something that the director needs to manage.
But what's magical about that number of 620?
The magic number 620 is because the general fund had been transferring in $120,000 in support of parks. And then the board approved an increase in the road levy shift of $500,000. This is what Jennifer's talking about. Every year that was specifically in support of parks, so they should be
Should have
getting
been added, should have been added to
620,000
the
a year.
120.
Way back when.
Yeah, and I
And they
don't
did the
know why
500.
it has deteriorated, but all they've got
So
in
somewhere
right
along the
now is
line,
$500,000.
they got, what, 380,000 instead of a 500,000?
Somewhere along the way, the
I'd sure like
620
to
has
know what
dropped to
happened with
500.
that as far as if it evaporated.
It is very possible in all of the movements to shift to direct appropriation, something got lost along the way.
Maybe we could put that in the Lakes Fund.
Denise? Denise, go ahead.
Let's try, Commissioner.
Okay, so the total I have that is not related to any of the change requests that have been approved was the basis at 569,000, but remember that there's a big change request that built the direct appropriation.
Okay, I guess I missed that part. There's 559,000 instead of 500, is that what I'm hearing?
Instead of 620.
Instead of 620?
Which is why I am suggesting to you to just add 100,000 and let Jennifer figure out what she needs to do.
But that would take it, didn't she say 569?
Did you say 569?
Yes.
Then we'd be going
Okay,
to
so-
669.
So, okay, so add, what's
Give her
the difference?
75,000.
There you go.
Well, you consider approving this item of 50,000 and the other item of 75,000, and I think that would probably.
That's 125.
Yeah, I was gonna go 50,000 here and 25,000 there.
And if I end up just looking for one. So 50 on,
50 on this.
and
I know, it's just complicated.
I don't know. That's, that, again.
I'm finally getting it. At the time we did it, I barely even
I-
understood what we were doing. Now I understand exactly, but I understand why.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I'm just like, so I'm gonna rely on you
I'll try
two
one
on
more
this.
time just to explain. So traditionally, the general fund was giving 120,000 to parks.
Uh-huh.
We were woefully inadequate.
Yeah.
Jennifer
Oh.
came in and said, I know I'm trying to reduce the road fund shift, but in this case, we've got to do something about increasing the park budget. So we added we went from like 3 million to 3.5 million of a shift with an understanding that 500,000 extra was going to hit general fund and go right to parks. So it should have been 500 plus 120. It should have been 620 in the parks.
Right.
But somehow it didn't make it, somehow the accounting didn't make it through. So now Denise is telling us only 569,000 is really pushing through to parks, where it really should have been like in the maintenance level, 620. So we could, what Robin is saying is instead of trying to micromanage whether, do we like this plan, do we not like this plan, these proposals, we could just set that amount right, like take the 569, make it 620, and then let Jennifer decide what she wants to spend it on.
Okay, I like that.
And I like that better too, because I don't want to be micromanaging at this level what they're planning for. I think our job is to set the parks budget,
So there is an additional 50,000
Yes.
and with no,
But Commissioner Edwards said 75.
I suggest 75.
Didn't you say 75?
What I was shooting for was trying to get to the,
The 620. And 5, that's 31,
and
so it's 51. You're right.
Yeah, 51,000.
So we're giving her an extra 50,000 and she could spend it on trail permits or she can spend it on strategic assets.
Right,
What I'm gonna put here is parks.
yeah, parks. And we're gonna add 51. And I threw out 100,000 because that would be a bump up in your support of parks.
And it would fund both of these.
It would fund these or whatever else she needed to
I'd like
do.
to see both these consolidated and done for about $10,000.
There.
She can do that, she can hear you, get a suggestion, and maybe she finds a way to do that. I mean, I don't know,
I'm gonna go with Commissioner Menzer.
So
So-
51,000 to parks.
Just
You
to
wanna
give
keep
them
it
that
there?
620, yeah.
Okay,
I
get
like,
Get to the 620.
let's do the 620.
that's where everybody feels
So do we
comfortable.
vote no on these ones, on the two requests?
We've just changed it into something
So
else.
we just changed it? Okay. So,
It's essentially granting one and not the other in a sense,
Now
but
we're way.
with flexibility.
How much do we have?
5,
So you have.
375?
Enough for JASCOM.
$318.
I still got more things on the list. Well, no, I mean, I've got, looks like that was stricken, okay, so then, or actually Commissioner Edwards said maybe.
Yes, the next thing I had on hold was, line 32, page 32,
Page.
line 190.
That's the annual service.
It's the animal services.
And how many more do we have after that?
I have.
There's the HR. HR
HR.
executive assistant.
HR executive assistant.
That's it? Then we're done?
Sheriff law enforcement. for
Where's that?
The shields.
Oh,
You said no.
yeah, I
It
did.
said no to the
Yeah,
shield.
that's right.
Okay, and I pulled that on.
JASCOM,
JASCOM and HR,
the
That's it.
public, Commissioner Edwards said he'd keep his mind open on the public records for the prosecutor.
okay,
And then we've got the treasurer's request for reconsideration, and we have,
that's true, if
we
you'd
didn't
like to
completely
revisit
resolve.
the treasurer.
that's what's on my list.
So, let's
The big
do
one is the.
JASCOM.
Now, okay, I wanna, because this isn't my favorite thing, so I just want a quick talk with Commissioner Mejia about this.
okay, sorry.
I wanna see if what I heard you say is what I heard you say, what I interpreted what you said, was that, okay, we got these problems, you guys have all heard the problems, I don't need to explain those. So, if we do this, and it doesn't work, for whatever reason, doesn't solve the problem, then we can talk about maybe go in a different direction. Is
Yeah,
that?
I mean, we can always reassess the contract that we have with JASCOM.
I mean, there is, I will say there is we'll have to amend the ILA. It's not absolutely doable, there's a little bit of process involved.
Sure.
Because we'll have to amend the ILA, and if we didn't like it, we'd have to go back and unamend the ILA and go through that process, but I mean, yeah, it's not.
If it didn't solve the sheriff's problem, for an example,
Right.
or the phone calls you get, we could always do an amendment if we felt we had to, and possibly have our own process. I know at one point in time, Yelm was thinking about doing their own thing and contracting with us to do everything that we needed and keep animals at their shelter and everything. And it just didn't get there. But they were thinking about it, that they could do it for much less than we were contributing.
Their public works was doing it, but
Some.
it didn't happen anywhere near the.
Yeah, it wasn't the same, but if we gave the contribution that we were giving the animal services to them, they were gonna really be able to enhance their process. And that's kind of where I was thinking it could go, because I didn't think we were getting the cooperation from animal services. For multitude of different reasons, interactions, personalities, whatever it was. So I guess I'm inclined to do this, based on the arguments that Commissioner Mejia.
You just made my day.
Okay, so do I see 3 thumbs up on this?
Come on, Commissioner Munster, this was your priority last year.
And I did vote it down. I brought it forward and then I voted it down because we ran out of money. But I think it's a good thing. It's all positive. I think it's gonna be positive. It's just a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but I know that a lot of residents will be happy to hear this, because it's.
Press release, Megan. Thurston County.
No, quite yet.
Better not be too.
Not quite yet.
Good point. We'll get public comment and see if people like,
This is preliminary decisions.
Yep. Well, that's good, actually. I hope somebody does weigh in on this.
But do we have anything left for?
Yes,
$72,000 left on the
we got a
$1
little bit left. There's a little capacity, as you can see on the model. The line, you're on page 36, line 202, for human resources. And this is the request for an executive assistant. And Romero, did you say that this is Maria's number 1?
That's Maria's number 1, and she
Yes.
really needs the help.
So I see one
And you and
thumb
I have
up.
many conversations with her as to how much.
I absolutely agree that Maria needs staff in HR.
Which?
That's page 36,
Page 36.
line item 200.
202.
202.
202.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you
So thumbs, one thumb up I see, or thumbs or conversation, 2 thumbs up.
1 second, I'm sorry, I'm trying to, there we go, sorry.
Now, what was the one you want to look at? There's no money left. But I
No
want
money
to look
left, but I'm retracting mine. It was the public records for the prosecutor.
at- Okay,
That would be weighed against HR. I mean,
yeah, right, but say we did okay, it looks like we're doing HR.
yeah.
I don't know, I didn't see, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if she
Okay.
needs it.
So we're doing that, and is the prosecutor's issue the last one, and we were not able to fund it? Is that
Except for
right?
treasurer.
The treasurer is such a minor amount.
Do we want to talk about the treasurer next?
Well, here's
Or the-
here's my feeling about the treasurer.
Okay, good.
Yes, I do want to support Jeff, okay, I make no words about that. But I also want to be consistent with our position, if you will, and see what else comes. I want to be fair with everybody else.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of hanging fire on that. I think maybe there's going to be something we can review later on, because we're not done, this is all preliminary. But on the prosecutor's position, I see that as more of a liability exposure to the county by not getting some of those done, especially in a timely fashion. And we've had quite a few of those situations develop where, for whatever reason, I mean, you can't put the blame in any one place, but we've had those problems before. And so I'm thinking that, how much was that to do that? with the process?
So right now, you're
Which one was-
30,000.
We're 30,000 in the hole?
But
Okay, but,
Here's the model.
here's what the model looks like.
I know,
And Robin said we could go a touch.
You can go
That's- so how
and
much
dip
is the
below,
prosecutor's
and
deal?
so that's what I'm trying to look for. Can anybody tell me what the line number is?
I will, I can tell you the dollar amount.
There you, well, the only way I can
it
enter
was
it,
around 100,000.
it is round.
I think it was less.
It's number
87.
163, page 26.
What's the dollar amount?
So the value amount is 88,000 for the first year, yeah, 88,000.
Okay.
3.
And which priority was that for him?
It was actually not, it was number 4. That's why I made that argument, let's fund the number 2 business analyst, not the number 4 public records.
See, the business analyst it's not a liability exposure issue to us as much, you know.
So if you said yes to this,
Yes, so it's D0911.
and
You good with that?
We can
Robin's
make
shaking-
that work.
Robin's nodding, so I wanna give the prosecutor
So,
that piece.
You're good with that? Like, that's
And I
okay?
think-
I am, because look how close it
You're
is to
right,
that
you're
target
absolutely right.
line in 2028.
We're gonna
Just
have
the
to
whole
squeeze our belt
exposure
a
board.
little bit.
Maybe if, yeah, I mean, and again, this is a forecast. It's not
I know.
precise.
So,
This
we got
is,
2 thumbs, I don't know about your thumb.
Yeah, I mean, if Robin's given me the nod that it's okay,
3
then
thumbs.
I think it is, and I agree that that
Yeah.
unit is critical to the success of the whole county.
118,000.
Well, we've seen what it does. So we're-
Yep.
We're all comfortable with where that landed.
And you're done
Hey,
with half an hour.
What's chances you can just push print on your thing and give me a
Wait,
copy?
but,
Well, I can't because I'm not signed in,
Oh.
but I will print it for you.
can I hold real quick though?
Yes.
What you said about the treasurer, I really agree with, everything you said, but I just wanted to wrap it. I mean, what does that, where does that leave us? Like, we're gonna,
Suggestion, for me, it's about the process.
yeah,
And suggesting a process, I think this is a good argument the treasurer has. You may receive further arguments
From others.
from others,
Oh, I see.
including public hearings, public testimony.
That's my aim.
After the
Okay.
public testimony, we'll come back
okay, see,
We've got
to make
2
final
days.
decisions.
it's 2 levels of process. You guys are worried about the process of like someone lobbying for something in reconsideration. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the process of denying everyone's leave buyout, but then saying to the treasurer, because you put it number 1, we're gonna fund your leave buyout. So
That's my
it's a different,
concern.
so we're worried about that
Yes.
in-process inconsistency. You're worried about the,
The rest of the request you will receive.
so that's what I'm wrestling with. I don't know where you are on it. What do you wanna do with the treasurer's request?
I think I'm kind of like on their, and also on this, I see like both, and I'm like, I think we should definitely wait until the public hearing.
Because this is preliminary.
Okay,
And then we can wait until he makes his case again in a correct process that way. And at that point, we can reconsider this process of whether that's fair too.
And by then,
Okay.
the forecast will be updated as well.
Exactly. By that time, I will have 1 more month of sales tax to lay in. We'll be a
And then
little
you have
closer to
come
the
back
end of the
this and
year.
start eliminating some of the.
maybe we'll
You
have
know, not-
$12,000 of extra money.
Yeah, Mike, and so here's just to wrap this and put the bow on where we're at. We have your preliminary decisions. The budget team is now going to be heads down to produce the budget book. It will be produced in accordance with state law and available to the public on November 22nd. That is 2 weeks before you hold the public hearings. The public-
Denise has her hand up.
Yes, Denise.
Capital,
Do what?
we need the capital decisions too.
Oh my gosh, capital. So thank you. All of the capital items are aligned with your CIP that you have reviewed.
And TIP.
Yep, and so I am asking you that in accordance, and I don't have a page to point to in here, they're in Public Works and Central Services. But you have not indicated any desire to change the CIP. The capital items align with that. I'm going to ask you to just say yes to the capital.
I gotta have just a quick discussion on that.
Okay,
Because I wanna remain consistent, and I think part of that capital is that remodel down to 3,000.
it is definitely on there.
So I'm gonna have to vote against that, just to be consistent, and I wanna tell you, up front. I mean, it follows along with the vote that I already did.
So let me ask you this. If I were to separate that one item, the work at the atrium, off and say, are you comfortable with the rest of the capital facilities plan and the budget that goes with that? Could you vote yes on the rest of it?
I think so. I really do. I don't know,
And this is the preliminary decision.
yeah.
And when it comes to the final.
Initially, I would say, yeah, but if I study it, and I hate to be,
So what we're looking is a thumbs up to prepare the budget book. And when it comes to the actual vote, understanding your position, we can take this item separate for you to exercise
Split it
and then
out,
vote
so
on that.
you say no.
besides that, I want you to have a good vacation.
I still not even see any thumbs up on the capital. 1, 2.
And if we split it out,
Yes, we'll split that item out.
okay.
So you're good on that?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
So maybe
preliminarily.
clarify. Okay.
Yeah?
Preliminarily.
So, all the capital facilities and roads, excluding the 3,000 Pacific, 3,000.
Right.
Okay.
And now,
Now, the capital line item for the 3,000 Pacific.
Okay.
2 thumbs up and a thumbs down.
Thank you, so that has been recorded.
All right, so now we're done with that. Now we're gonna produce a book. The book's gonna be available November 22nd. 2 weeks after that, and I'm losing my mind. So I think that will be well, I'm gonna look really quick so I don't get the date wrong. December 6th and 7th will be the public hearings. These public hearings are different from all your other public hearings because taxpayers may come in and ask questions. Your elected officials and appointed directors are required to attend those hearings so they can respond to any questions that are asked of them. So that'll be what did I just say, the
Thank you.
6th and
I
7th?
would have been looking.
Then we have budget follow-up on the 8th and 9th to make the very final decisions. After the 9th, if you make changes, I'll cry because we need those days to prepare all of the documents that you vote on the 17th. Also on December 6th, we have scheduled the revenue public hearing that is required under state law. Again, we can push that out now under the new revisions to the law. You will vote on the revenue on December 14th during your regular board meeting.
And if we don't,
One of your many regular meetings.
if we don't do the property tax bump, we'll have to cut about $500,000 of spending.
Absolutely correct.
Okay,
Yes.
Denise, go ahead.
Robin, there's also just taking a quick look, there are just a couple of change requests related to the Blake LFOs and adding the revenue.
We've got, you and I can talk about that offline.
Okay, great.
Yep,
Hey,
I think
Robert.
we're good on that.
Related to the schedule, we don't have a final, we have final deliberations on the budget the 8th and all day on the 9th.
Right.
Could I suggest to begin the budget deliberations on the 9th at 8 o'clock? And we can probably finish at 11 because Commissioner Menzer and I need to attend the LTC Government Day,
December what?
December 9th.
I doubt we'll even need that day, but okay. Yeah, that's fine with me.
So,
Just tell us when to be
I
ready.
know that Anne from IT is managing all the LTC, and she's getting a little stressed out because Thomasina said, I don't know if Commissioner Messing can attend because we have budget deliberations.
Oh, right, yeah. I'm supposed to be on that governance day panel,
Yeah,
Never passed.
so,
but I didn't know I couldn't commit without
so
the
let's,
budget deliberations
let's
there.
have from 11 to 8 to 11:30. And I think we should probably be fine.
Yeah, oh yeah, on the 9th.
Yeah.
I think you could leave it at 9 to 11:30 and we'll be just fine, because we've got time on the 8th.
Okay, so we'll change that.
Okay,
Thank you, so we're good.
all right.
How much did we fund for property abatement? Did we do 50%?
Oh my God, I'd have to look it up.
Did anyone remember?
I don't even remember.
So for property abatement, we did, I think it was 50%.
You did half.
They wanted 150 and we did 75.
We did 75,
Something
yes.
like that.
7.
All right, so, good job.
Very good,
Yeah,
Commissioner, good job.
This
Long,
was a
long.
big one to work through, so good job.
First biennial budget
Yay.
for me.
Oh,
And it's gonna be a trick holding firm on the midterm.
so do we need to say, well, can I ask kind of, you can shut down the meeting. I just have a question for Robin about process.
Okay,
so.
let's adjourn.
All right?
Okay, thanks, everybody. It's 2:38. We're adjourning. Budget deliberations are done for preliminary.